G'day guys, welcome back to the Rugby League Guru podcast. Obviously last night we had the night of nights in Rugby League, crowning the next Immortal of our game. Of course, Ron Coote, the 14th Immortal of Rugby League. Absolutely incredible scenes along with all of the Hall of Famers as well. Unbelievable stuff. As a footy fan, I absolutely loved it, and we're going to get stuck into all the little details from it today. This episode, guys, is brought to you by Neds, our official partners for season 2024. Make sure you jump onto the Neds app and you can follow along with our profile on all of our bets. We are making a resurgence in the back end of the season for about even. We're back on top as of this week, which is fantastic, and we're going to bring it home. So make sure you follow along on the Neds app with all of our bets each and every week. Now, obviously, we had the Hall of Fame last night, and look, we already knew who the Hall of Famers were from about 2 weeks ago or a week ago, whatever it was, which was tremendous to see each and every one of them get up and speak from, male players, female players, referees, coaches, contributors as well, which I thought was fantastic. It really was a special night. I love the way that they went about it. I love that they gave each and every one of those Hall of Famers their, 3 or 4 minutes up on stage to talk. I thought it was brilliant. I saw some people online complaining that it dragged on a little bit, and I just thought, fuck, please miss me. These are the greatest players we've ever had in our game. They've contributed so much to our game, and I personally loved hearing each individual story, and I thought that Vossi did a really, really good job the way that he went about it. Obviously, for me, one of the most interesting things was seeing the big three back together once again. You don't really see it anymore. Cooper, Billy, and Cameron Smith. Obviously, a lot of rumours about what's going on there and dramas and all this sort of stuff, but I thought it was fantastic just to see everything put aside for a couple of minutes between the three of them and just to reflect on just how great they were. And I loved how each of them spoke about how lucky they were to play with each other as well. Pretty special stuff there. And three guys that personally I feel so lucky that I was at the right age to watch their careers from start to finish and enjoy every moment of it. And then you had your other guys. I thought that Benji Marshall, such a tremendous story. I thought that his speech was fantastic. And as I said, I said it last week, Benji isn't a guy that gets in on accolades. He gets in on influence, and the influence he had was just huge. GI was fantastic as well. Obviously, he was very nervous on stage. I believe GI lost his grandmother over the last week or so, and you could tell how emotional that was for him. Same with Cameron Smith, who lost his mother recently. So there was a lot of emotion in the room. JT was fantastic. He was hilarious, as he always is. Sam Burgess, great to see him obviously fly over from England to be there for the event. He also accepted Wayne Bennett's coaching Hall of Fame induction as well, and it was it was good to see Sam in that sort of frame, because it's all, the only bits we've seen of Sam over the last 2 or 3 years have been when there's been trouble at South Sydney or Coach of Warrington or whatever it might be. To see him reflect on his career. Geez, he's a good talker as well. I was very impressed with Sam Burgess' speech, and also just talking about, he had a line about how they had on his father's tombstone about how his name will live on through them, and to be in the Rugby League Hall of Fame. His mum was there as well, who of course was, we saw a lot of when he was playing at South Sydney. So yeah, look, I just thought the night was tremendous. It was fantastic. I loved every moment of it. The big moment came, the 14th Immortal of our game. I personally thought it was going to be Cameron Smith, but you know what? Now that it's happened, I like the way they've done it. I like the way that they've respected the guys that have come before. Cameron Smith's time will come, and I think there will be other Hall of Famers from that group that their time will come. I'm stoked it was Ron Coote. Very, very happy for him and his family. I think it is a tremendous thing of, over 100 years of rugby league and only 14 men have been inducted into that Immortal category. It is really, really special. And to be honest with you, out of all the guys, like obviously I wasn't old enough to watch Ron Coote's career from start to finish. I wasn't old enough to watch it at all, obviously. It was obviously well and truly done by the time I was born or watching rugby league. But just going back and having a look over the last few days of, all the players and all their accolades, I probably underappreciated how much of an impact Ron Coote had. You look at, the role that he played as a lock forward. He came just after, or sort of as Johnny Raper's career started to finish, Ron Coote came along. Johnny Raper considered, the greatest lock forward we've ever seen. Ron Coote right on his tail there. And just having a look through his career, like, He was the first man to play 100 games for two separate clubs, and those two separate clubs were the Roosters and the South Sydney Rabbitohs, which is just about a mortal sin nowadays. So for him to play 100 for both those clubs, and he played, I think he played 11 seasons of first-class rugby league. He made 9 grand finals and won 6 premierships. So more than 50% of seasons he started, he won premierships across 2 clubs. And if you have a look at, it's wild to me reading as well. I think it's 1974 or 75, maybe 76, around that mark. He breaks his arm, and then off the back of that broken arm gets a staph infection, and that forces him to retire from rugby league, which is just wild when you think about injuries and everything, and how everything happens today, that an immortal of a game was forced to retire off the back of a staph infection. Just crazy. But like the achievements he had, and obviously captain the Kangaroos as well. I think he won 2 World Cups as a Kangaroos captain, and just but before his last World Cup victory, he actually just took 3 years off rep football. Just decided, not for me. Won 2 premierships with the Roosters, and I think 74, 75, and then that sort of reignited his passion to represent the Kangaroos. Came back and dominated there for the Kangaroos again. So very impressive career, and I think that the number one thing that stood out for me last night is just how much of a genuine guy Ron Coote seemed to be. And as I said, I haven't had anything to do with him whatsoever. I've heard, my father, grandparents, and, older people than me talk about how great Ron Coote was. Fantastic as well for me anyway, that he's a local guy, a local kid that was born here, born in Kensington, I believe, did his schooling around South Sydney and whatnot. And even in his speech, he went all the way back to that and spoke about his love for the game and where it all started for him. So, yeah, brilliant stuff. And look, it sounds like we're going to have one immortal every 4 years. It'll be interesting to see. And I do, if Ron Coote was going to be the immortal this time, I do wonder why they didn't just put him in with the last group. If I was sort of organising this and doing it, I think I would start to head towards some of the more modern day players. I think Ron Coote definitely deserves to be an immortal, but I would have thought maybe put him in the group before that. The last guy that I think isn't an immortal that I think probably deserves to be is Brett Kenny from that older generation. Whether he gets in or not now, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure if Bert was there last night or not. I didn't see him on the telecast at all, but he's a guy that, as you guys know, I think he should be an immortal. And I think that probably in the next category, and in 4 years' time, when we're doing this again, I think that's when you'll start to see your Lockiers, your Freddies, these sort of guys come really like proper into calculations. Wouldn't surprise me if Brett Kenny is the next one, and then we start to get into those guys. But it will be interesting to see when we start to have the conversations about Cameron Smith, because I do stand by what I said the other day. I think that Cameron Smith, of all the players that are available to be elected as immortals, he is the best of them. He has got the strongest resume. He has achieved the most. So I'm very keen to see how they balance it all out. I respect them going back into the past and picking someone like Ron Coote. I respect it greatly. And I think ultimately it was the right thing to do, despite me thinking Cam Smith is just the best player you could possibly put in there. I'm very keen to see what they do over the next few years and how they go about it. I'm sure the Immortals, I'm sure it'll change and it'll adapt over the next few years. I'd be shocked beyond belief if in 15 years it's still done today the way that it is. You obviously had Wally, Joey, and Mal there last night, the last living immortals. I think it would also be great to see them have some sort of a role in who does get nominated into this group. It is a very elite class, and you're talking about the best of the best. And it's not like you have to negotiate with 14 players. There's only 4 of them that are alive right now. And I know Joey kicked up a bit of a stink about it the other day, and I back Joey, to be honest with you. I think the Immortals should be a part of it. I think that they should play a role in selecting who joins that group. I don't think they should be the sole people that make that decision, but I think that they should be there and thereabouts in that discussion room, and they should have a say on it as well. So, very keen to see where the Immortals go next. We've got 4 years' time. I think some of these careers of some of the Hall of Famers that were inducted last night, I think they're just going to age better and better the further we get away from the game. Guys like the big three, I think they'll be right up there. As I said, Brett Kenny, I think Lockyer, Freddie, these sort of guys have to be in the conversation. Some people have JT in there as well, and you can make a very good argument for JT to be an Immortal as well. So, yeah, look, a fantastic night. We only get to do it every 4 years. I thought Vossi and Yvonne Sampson did a brilliant job. I thought that everyone spoke well. And yeah, I thought it was a great night. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the thing I love about Ron Coote getting in there as well, obviously a champion player, did achieve so much in our game. 6 premierships in 11 years is just insane. An Australian captain and whatnot. But I think you could tell just by his speech last night and the way that people interacted with him, how much of a good bloke he is, and that's what rugby league's built on at the end of the day. So congratulations to Ron Coote and the Coote family. A tremendous effort there. There's only been 14 ever, and Ron Coote will forever be remembered as an immortal of our game. Sensational stuff. And yeah, can't wait to have this conversation for the next 4 years. Who's going to be the next one? When Smithy will be in there, when Lockie will be in there, if Freddie gets in. So much to discuss, and yeah, it really is a great concept. I think we could do it better in some regards, but I think that's also just, it's the peak of rugby league. It's a little bit messy. It's a little bit all over the place, and that's sort of what our sport's built on. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, but we are a very, very unique sport and do things in a very unique manner. Guys, today's episode brought to you by Neds. Make sure you jump onto the app, follow along with my bets for the rest of the season in About Even and just my civilian bets over the weekend. Prices subject to change, T's and C's apply, and available on the website. What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website